If you're struggling to get customers for your brand, or you're worried that you're going to launch and no one's going to buy anything, well, I am sharing my exact roadmap on how you can get your first 100 customers in this video. Let's dive in. My first tip is to get crystal clear on your target customer. In other words, who are you hoping to help and serve with your brand? Get crystal clear on who she is, who he is, and who they are. So things like demographic information, like what their age is, where they live, what they do for work, what their income level looks like, their education, relationship status, all those sorts of things. And then you also want to get an understanding of their psychographic information as well. So what are their hobbies? What are their interests? What are their values? Get really specific on what that looks like too. And then most importantly, you want to know about their pain points. So with their wardrobe and with their clothes right now, what are they struggling with? What challenges do they have? What do they wish they had in their wardrobe, but they don't? Or what product do they wish existed, but doesn't? That is really, really crucial because we want to make sure that we are so intentional with your brand and you're creating things that people genuinely need. And in order to get all this information, I recommend you leverage either a market research survey or questionnaire or an interview. And for our customers, we recommend they combine both and really try to leverage the surveys and the questionnaires to get enough data so that everything is statistically significant, and then drill down on pain points in the interviews so that they can really get to the root of the matter. The goal is that you get as much information as possible because we want to make business decisions based on data and not just based on your personal problems or what problems your friends have, because at the end of the day, to have a sustainable and viable business, you need to have hundreds and hundreds of customers. And in this video, we're talking about your first 100, and how you're going to be able to do that is to really resonate with your target customer and really know them inside and out. And you're going to be leveraging the market research survey, questionnaire, or the interview, and probably both, to be able to do that. And we always tell our clients to put all this information into a persona document. That is so important because you're going to spend the time to gather all this data so that you understand your target customer. And so you want to make sure that you can easily reference all of this information in the future. For a persona document, you are essentially crafting an avatar for your ideal or for your target customer. So you're going to include all the demographic information, you're going to include the psychographic information, you're going to include their problems and their pain points, and also their values and literally anything else that you find out about them that you think would be helpful to summarize in this document. I always tell our clients too, after they finish their persona document, to name their persona as well so that they can really bring them to life. And this document, when it's finalized and it's made, you should be sharing it with team members, you should be sharing it with partners, and you should also be sharing it and referring to anyone really that is touching your business. And so when you're thinking about what marketing platforms to be on, or what type of copy to write, or when you're thinking about what products to produce, or what materials to use, everything has to come back to your target customer because your entire business needs to revolve around them. And because of that, you need to get crystal clear on who they are. And you're going to be able to get your first 100 customers if you do a really good job of understanding your target customer. Because if they feel like your brand and your products are just for them and it's solving one of their pain points, they are going to easily give you their wallets, easily hand over their credit card information because they see the value in what you're producing. And so this is a good segue into my next tip, which is to focus on your ideal or target customer. Once you have identified them and you've gotten to know them, it is so important to laser focus on them and not get distracted. So for example, if you identified that you want to work with a working woman that has a 9-to-5 job, and you've identified that their problem is that they don't feel like they have versatility in their wardrobe, then make sure you focus on that. If you're going to target that problem by making a blazer set that could be worn as a blazer or a 2-piece set or a separate crop blazer and a skirt, which is what one of our amazing clients does, then market it as such and say that, you know, the working woman can wear the blazer to work, she can then turn it into 2-piece set for happy hour or date night, and then she can wear like the skirt with a t-shirt on the weekend. Like really try to tailor your messaging for that ideal customer. Because when you try to relate to everyone, you relate to no one. And don't look at this as leaving money on the table. I always talk about this and people say it makes sense in theory, but then they go out and they try to relate to everyone because they feel like in order to really make a lot of money and get your first 100 customers, you need to appeal to the masses. But the opposite is true. If you niche down and you narrow down and you get really specific with your target customer, they can feel like your products are made just for them, and it will be such an easy sales process. Because if you think about it, if you then tried to target, I don't know, Gen Z people and millennials and all these different people, it's probably not going to relate as much as if you were so specific with your messaging and you gave them exclusive and very pointed examples of how they could use it. Like, that's going to be such an easy way for you to sell something. So do not get distracted. Do not get shiny object syndrome. Make sure you are focusing on your ideal customer. The other thing I want you to keep in mind as well is that I want you to focus on your ideal customer, especially if you're just starting out, so that you can gain momentum and gain traction. What I mean by that is once you have identified your ideal customer and you focus on them and they feel like your brand exactly for them and they're starting to give you their credit card information and purchase your products and they fall in love with your brand and you establish that brand loyalty and that trust, that goes so far because they're going to come back, probably be a repeat customer. Also, word of mouth is really, really powerful. So they're likely going to tell their colleagues, their friends, their family members, etc., etc. And then you can grow organically and you'll get more funding and more support to your brand. And once you're in that stage, you can then expand and then also have secondary target customers and things like that. But for right now, if you're trying to get your first 100 customers, please narrow down and focus on your ideal or your target customer. That's going to make you go so much further and much quicker as well. Speaking of focusing, my next tip is to grow one social media platform. That is it. If you try to be on every single platform, you're going to be spread very thin. And this is very dangerous when you're first starting out because you have limited time, limited energy, and limited resources to be able to do anything well. And so if you go all in on one social media platform, I guarantee you will be able to grow it and have a big enough community where you can actually get 100 customers. You need to remember that 100 followers does not equate to 100 customers. Not everyone that follows you will buy from you. And in fact, we always tell our clients to assume about a 5% conversion rate, if not lower. And so if you want to get 100 customers, and if we're assuming you have a 5% conversion rate, you need at least a community of 2,000 people. And if you're spread thin over TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and you're scattered everywhere, you're not going to be able to get 2,000 people. Because if you think about it, in order for someone to follow you, subscribe to you, do whatever you need to do on a platform, they have to get value from the content. And you need to spend the time to put out valuable content that people actually want to follow and they relate to and they resonate to. So with that all being said, focus on one social media platform. It will really help you go far. The other thing I wanted to talk about as well is when you're choosing your one social media platform, be so strategic about this. Because if your ideal customer or your target customer is not on that platform, you should not be there because that is a waste of your time, your energy, and your resources. So if we go back to the example, if we're targeting a 9-to-5 working woman and we've decided that we want to be on LinkedIn or on Instagram because that's where they've been and you've done the market research to validate that and you've talked to them, then you can go out and do that. And maybe you would start with Instagram first and then once that's good, you can move on to LinkedIn. But just make sure you talk to your ideal customer, you figure out what platform they're already on, and then you go all out on that one platform. It makes no sense to be on a platform if it's blowing up and everyone's on it, such as TikTok, if your ideal customer is not there. So like I mentioned, put all of your eggs in one basket when it comes to social media so that you can grow it, get a big enough community so that you can actually get your first 100 customers. If you're getting a lot out of these tips, you're gonna love my free launch masterclass. This is my free 60-minute jam-packed class where I'm gonna overview how you can go from idea to successful 20K launch. In particular, I am sharing with you 3 of my secret strategies. The first one being how to design an amazing first collection, even if you don't have a fashion background. The second strategy is how to source sustainable materials and manufacturers, even if you don't have industry connections. And last but not least, my proven marketing strategy so that you launch and make at minimum $20,000. I am sharing so many things in this masterclass. Make sure you don't miss out. you can register at recloseted.com/masterclass. Make sure you do so ASAP because spots are limited and I know we're gonna fill up and I don't want you to miss out. So make sure you register ASAP, and the link again is recloseted.com/masterclass, and it will also be in the description box for you. Now, let's dive back into the video. Once you have identified your ideal customer, gotten to know them inside and out, and picked your one social media platform that you're gonna grow, my next tip is to leverage collaborations and partnerships so that you can organically grow your one social media platform and get at least 2,000 followers, subscribers, or whatever you need so that you can get your first 100 customers. This is great because this is an organic or free way to get traffic to your platform. If you don't have money for paid advertising or influencer marketing, this is a great opportunity for you to send traffic to your platform and hopefully get them to follow you. So be very strategic about this. And what I have to say for collaborations and partnerships is 2 tips. First of all, you want to treat this as a numbers game. You're not going to get 2,000 followers from just one collaboration or one partnership. You need to have probably around 50 because some collaborations and partnerships are going to be a flop and you're not really going to get anything out of it. That's okay though, you're going to need to test it. And then other collaborations and partnerships are going to be super fruitful, but you just don't know, so treat it as a numbers game. And my second tip is to figure out where your ideal customer already is. As an example, if you are targeting pregnant women because you have a maternity brand, then think about where your ideal customer is already going. For instance, they might be going to prenatal yoga studios, they might be going to doulas, they might be going to certain RMT places that specialize in pregnant women. And so think about where your customer is already going and then partner and collaborate with relevant businesses, relevant other brands, and other accounts so that you can blend audiences. With the collaborations and partnerships, it is really important to ensure it is mutually beneficial. So position this as blending audiences, and at the end of the day, if you're targeting the same person, I would always recommend really reaching out to complementary businesses. You don't want to reach out to competitors necessarily, but if there's accessory brands or service providers, if there's things like that that your customer is already trying to reach out and trying to do, then partner with those businesses and just make sure it's mutually beneficial. Another thing as well when you're executing is to really remember that it's a spectrum, right? You can start with a really low effort collaboration and go all the way to more of an advanced partnership. But you don't have to do that right away. You want to assess who you want to work with in the long term for a partnership. And so it could just be joint Instagram lives. It could be shouting each other out on stories. It could be maybe a podcast interview or something. If one of you has a podcast, it doesn't have to be a whole big thing. But for the collaborations that you find really fruitful, then you can do something a little bit more long term, like maybe joint product collaborations, giveaways, hosting live events, doing a more formalized partnership where maybe you refer business to each other, whatever that looks like. But it doesn't have to start with all this stuff around the live events, the specialized products, because that's really overwhelming. You can just start with really short-term shout outs and interviews and whatever that looks like. So make sure you cast a wide net. You think about what businesses and service providers your ideal customer is already frequenting, and then you start to reach out and you ask them. And the worst case scenario is they say no or they don't get back to you. So just put yourself out there, don't be shy, and make sure you really leverage collaborations and partnerships because that is going to be a game changer to helping you get your first 2,000 followers so that you can get your first 100 customers. And as you're building up your one social media platform and you're driving traffic to it from a collaboration and partnership perspective, my next tip is to show the behind the scenes of your business. This is so crucial because once you show the behind the scenes and you show people the materials you're trying out, the designs you're playing with, the iterations you're making for the product, what a typical work week looks like for you, people get invested in your entrepreneurial journey and they psychologically want to see you succeed. So as you're building up your community, involve them in the process, show your face, talk about your story, talk about why you're starting your brand, and really get to know them so that you can build that trust and that brand loyalty. When someone feels emotionally invested in your business, they are going to want to support you either through buying something and supporting you financially and or they're going to want to support you by sharing it with their friends and family or helping you spread the message, which is also great as well. And so make sure you share the behind the scenes. This is also great content and hopefully easy content for you because you're just literally showing what you're doing. So it's definitely a win-win situation. Make sure you take advantage of this tip. If you watched until this point, comment, I'm gonna successfully get my first 100 customers so that we can cheer you on in the comments and you can speak your success into existence. Friendly reminder that I am hosting a free launch masterclass. I am not holding back, it's gonna be jam-packed, and you can get more info and register at recloseted.com/masterclass. In addition to the masterclass, if you want more resources and more help, make sure you download our Launch Method ebook. This is our 30-page plus ebook detailing how our clients go from idea to successful 20K launch. So make sure you snag it if you haven't already at recloseted.com/launch. You are going to be able to get your first 100 customers if you follow the tips in this video, and I cannot wait to see that happen for you. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions. I will personally get back to you, and I am so honored to support you on your entrepreneurial journey. Best of luck, and together, let's transform the harmful fashion industry.